Jesus is our attorney on eternal retainer. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. This is part number 4 of this 5-part series. I don't think it's much of a secret. I have enjoyed this study. I really hope you have as well. It's been a blessing looking at the sanctuary, one of the most powerful and essential truths for right now. It's not just good news, it's now news. So now when we look at Jesus as our advocate, what does that really mean? We're going to get to that in a second because every attorney's got to get paid unless they're working pro bono. But before we get into that, I want to thank you for watching. We really appreciate you sharing this. Please take 5 seconds to think of someone and then share it with them. Click that share link, pass it on to them. Then take 2 seconds, maybe even 1. Just click the like button. That's what helps the video be found by others. And of course, if you still got another 3 seconds left, we haven't even hit 10 seconds yet. Go and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you so that we can stay in touch. Visit us online at the website, changeministry.org. All these studies that you see, they are all archived all the way back, I think, to 2017 for us to encourage our faith for tomorrow. So let's talk about Jesus as our attorney. The Bible makes it very clear that Jesus is our go-between. He's the intermediary. We talked about that already, where the blood in the Old Testament was a representative. That blood that would be between Aaron and the altar, Jesus Christ was symbolized in that blood because now he stands between us and God. And it's why we have full access. We have the authority to be bold, and we have the peace, this constant, consistent confidence that comes from Christ. So now if Jesus is our attorney, he's on retainer. Rudimentary understanding of a retainer is that it's basically how an attorney is paid. It's how they are able to then have fees set aside, and they're different kind of retainers. Some that are paid in advance, others that are like a security retainer. But either way, it's just the way that an attorney is compensated. And much respect to every good attorney out there who's fighting the good fight and seeking justice for all on both sides and all sides of the law. But Christ, in this context, he is there as our attorney. And the fact that we can know that he's paid and he's been paid in full, in a sense, we can be assured of his services. We can't have a case or an issue that's bigger than his retainer. See, in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 10. We're going to stay in Hebrews here in this study. In verses 9 to 10, describing our advocate, our attorney, it says, "Then said he," Jesus says, "Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second." In other words, the first covenant, the first promise based on our work, that's gone in order to establish the second promise, which is based on Christ's work, by the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. This is beautiful because the Bible makes it very clear that Jesus was sacrificed, and he was sacrificed historically one time. There's some who believe that every time we partake of what's called a type of communion or a mass, that Jesus is being crucified over and over again. That's not biblical. The Bible says he died once, and he died once for all. The Bible says that he has come to establish this promise based on his work, and he did it one time. That's a big deal because if there was a repetition of payment, it would insinuate that every subsequent payment, every time you went to, that the previous payment was not enough, or something else happened. Therefore, there had to be a recurring payment. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You're on that recurring payment plan where we've got to pay for something every month, maybe bi-weekly. The Bible is saying that this was a payment and it was paid one time. That indicates the fact that the first payment was efficacious, but not only was it effective, it covered all things behind it. So if it covers all things behind, unlike in Hebrews 10 verse 11, where it says, "Where every priest back in the day standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man," this is Jesus, "after he had offered one sacrifice for sins," and remember verse 10 said he did that by his blood. "After he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, he sat down on the right hand of God." As our attorney, he's there before God the judge, and he is there sitting down. Not sitting down and getting up, not sitting down and getting up, not sitting down and then saying, I need more money, not sitting down and saying, I need you to replenish this retainer. But he said it's done. So this gives us encouragement now to believe that I have the advantage of his services today, and that there's nothing that I can do that will go beyond my retainer or go beyond the retainer, because the retainer was his blood. And so I can always be assured that no matter how far off I go, how far left or far right, we can be assured of the services of Christ's atonement, because as our attorney, he's on an eternal retainer. In Hebrews chapter 10, verse 13 and 14, finally, it says, from henceforth, that's the key word, from now on, expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. Because remember, verse 13 is a continue what we read in verse 12. He sat down on the right hand of God. He offered one sacrifice for sins forever. From henceforth, expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified. He's perfected us for how long? Forever. So this is not just a retainer for my stuff in the past. It's not just a retainer that I have access to his services to walk with me and talk with me a long life's narrow way. But this is even saying that if I go to sleep or if I'm awake when he comes, either way, I will have the advantage of his services forever. So there'll never be a day where I have to worry about when I go to check in or when I go to come into heaven that my access card won't work. Some of y'all live in gated communities. Everybody's going to live in a gated community when this thing is all over. That's what Revelation chapter 20, 21 says. So when we go to the gate, we can always be assured that when we show our card or when we scan the little box, the arm's always going to come up. The gate's always going to open wide. And I will never have to hang my head low, and I'll never have to worry about access, because Christ is on eternal retainer. It means right now, no matter what just happened before you watched this video, whatever video you clicked before you clicked this one, whatever happened in your life, whatever happened last night, whatever happened last year, God is letting us know through his word that we have the services of Christ forever. And that means that you have the opportunity right now before checkout to claim the grace of God and to lean on the mercy of God and lead a life of victory. This is his promise, because we got a prosecutor, but even the prosecution is going to be temporary. The devil's going to have his day in court and he's going to be judged. But our attorney and our atonement, that's ours forever. So let's embrace it right now.